Okay, so I'm going to get us started on chapter 2. And just to kind of condense some of the things that are going on with the chapter, what we're going to do is I'm going to open and restore the backup file that's in the chapter folder. And remember, on my computer, I kept my lesson files over here on G. And there's my units. And here's unit 2. And so this is my data starter for this unit. So I'm going to open that up. Go on to my next option. I make sure that I'm going back to my right drive, and here I am. And what I see is it should be named chapter 2, so I'm going to put in okay, now let's let it go through its process, and I'll pause the video because it's going to tell me that it needs to update and go through some other parts of the process, and I don't like to take that time in a video. Okay, this is that update message I told you about, and I'm just going to click on yes. Okay, the next confusing question is always this one. Yes, you are working with the sample files, so click on OK. And the first section is what it's telling us is to go into the preferences. It will eventually tell us to do this part too, which I'm just going to do now. Is if I do this for every chapter right in the beginning, it makes it easier. I'm just going to change the name here to my name. And click on OK. That way all my chapter reports come out with the right information, and that's the first process that I do for every chapter. Okay, so now I'm on page 2.7 of the textbook, and it's talking about preferences. Well, the preferences in QuickBooks determine on what you have showing on this main home screen and how you want to set things up. Because everything that you do in QuickBooks can be defined in the preferences. And what happens when I work with specific classes is generally I'll have students tell me, my version of QuickBooks does not have a payroll section, or my version of QuickBooks does not have purchase orders. Well, this is because your version, the preferences have not been checked. Okay, so now what they're telling you to do is change this so that they use the last date entered as the default date. And all that's going to do is every time I enter a date, it's going to pick up that date and use the last date that was entered. So it's nothing that's a problem other than these files that you're working with all are dated 2020, 2019, 2018. So if you do this, then you're not changing the dates all the time. So that's what you're doing in this particular to get started here. Now this is talking about how you can customize your favorites menu, and that favorites menu is right up here in your menu bar. If you click on menu and you customize the favorites, it's just telling you to choose some items that you'd like to have in your favorites. And the first one we're working with is the chart of. Now, is it the end of the world if you don't put them there? No, of course not. It's just that it's something that you look at and something that we use on a regular basis. The chart of accounts is actually the single most important entity in QuickBooks. And this chart of accounts has already been set up for you here. Your textbook talks about the chart of accounts, and I would really study this and look at the difference in the different types of accounts. There's a lot of different things that you can learn online regarding the chart of accounts. I've also given you some nice references in your tips and notes for this chapter. And the one of the things that you want to know is that no matter what the account is it's going to be debited or credited depending on the type of account that it is. So you're always going to have it, it's always going to offset. And QuickBooks does all this for you. If you've had a basic accounting class, you understand the principles, but you should be able to understand what you're reading. And so this note that you've got here is going to show you the basics behind how the debits and the credits work, and we'll go over further when we start looking at some of the reports. But in QuickBooks, you also want, let me get over to our screen here, is to note that everything has a certain type to it on a chart of accounts, and it's also numbered. In your tips and notes section, I added this chart of accounts PDF file so you can look at it. I like to review, like you to review this one only because it gives you a good idea and organizes it a little bit differently. It's not necessarily the numbering system as much as it gives you kind of a good view of how the numbering system is working. You want the current assets to be in this number range. Okay, so you've got this number range here from 10,000 to 16,999, and you can see that. See, these are in increments of 100 or however you set them up. See, and some of them are a little bit higher, but it's just to give you an idea. Now this is property, plant, and equipment. So it's, again, they're separated in increments that are in this number range, and you have your current liabilities, and in this number range, your long-term liabilities, your operating revenue, and cost of goods sold, marketing expenses, payroll, dependent, and other. So if you look in QuickBooks now, I'll flip over to QuickBooks. See, these are all set up with those types of groups, but it's just not grouped in exactly the same way as the one I just showed you. Now you look, but the numbering system is the same way. So if I was to look at the expense accounts, they're all in the 60,000 range. See, and they come down here down to 69,000. So so this gives you an idea how the accounts are related. So if I go to my income accounts, they're in the 40,000 range, and so on. See, and these are my cost of goods accounts. So the numbering system is just carrying through. So these are some of the things that you should be kind of paying attention to. Your book is covering the difference in the balance sheet accounts versus the profit and loss accounts. And I just want to show you a little graph that I like to use. This is the image that I think really does a good job of displaying what we're looking at. See, what it's telling you is, okay, when you pull a profit and loss report, it's going to have your income accounts and your expense accounts. And under income, you'll find your sales, your delivery fees, your interest, any of those kinds of accounts. The expense accounts could be your supplies, your rent, and utilities. So they balance each other out. But look over here on the balance sheet accounts, and these are separate accounts that you'll be pulling reports for. You have your assets, your liabilities, and your equity. So it's showing all of these different types of accounts come up on that type of a report. So these are two really strong reports that you're going to be looking at on a regular basis: your profit and loss and your balance sheet. So pay attention to this particular graph. I believe it's in your book as well, but it's just a nice one to know and to remember. If your numbers are not showing up here in QuickBooks, it just means that those accounting numbers haven't been turned on. Where did we learn how to reset our company preferences? Just as a review, it was up here in Edit Preferences. So we're going to come up there and then go to Accounting, take a good look at the company preferences, and look, right now we're using the account numbers. If I uncheck that, these numbers are going to disappear. See, so if I just come up here and go back into my preferences, back into accounting, and click on Use Account Numbers, now my numbers will reappear. So it's just a matter of, it's a view, and it's something that I want to see in my preferences. Okay, we're going to learn how to set up a new account. And for this one, you're going to be using this account button down at the bottom. And what you're going to do is go to account and then just go to new. And for these exercises, you're going to be setting up new accounts, and you're going to be uh, revising existing accounts. So if I look at this one, okay, here we have our categories, which we discussed before. These are my income and expense. These are some of my different balance sheet accounts that are going to be coming up. And right now I'm setting up an expense account. So then I just click on continue. And because I have my numbering system active, that is also active for this one. And I can just put in my number, and then I can turn in and say this is an advertising. So I'm adding a new expense. Now this is where I need to make sure that I pay attention. It's where does it go? Oh, it's going to my advertising here on my tax line under deductions, and it should have deductions advertising in there. There it is. And I don't have any reimbursed accounts for this one, so I can just come through and save this transaction. Oh, I see. On this particular, you know what? We're going to be setting up some new ones. It looks like. Let me go through and do a save new. Now what we're learning how to do is to set up an expense account with sub accounts. So the first thing I got to do is set up the main account, which is automobile. Oops, that's supposed to be number 60100, and I come in and I put down automobile, and that's okay. You know, I misread that one. It actually is an account that already exists. So let's look here. There it is. There's automobile, and it has 3 sub accounts already under it, and that's what they're trying to do. And just to show you how that looks, when it's a sub account, if I click on fuel and edit that account, you'll see that automobile is here, and it's actually a sub account of fuel is a sub account of automobile. Now this one's interesting in that they want you to delete an account, and you can if it has never been used, and it's pretty simple. So you just highlight the account and you click on delete, and you can get rid of it. Now just to mess with your head here, what they're doing is taking the account you already created, advertising expense, and they are going to have you edit it now. So it's now called advertising and promotion. You should pay close attention to these little goofy activities because they actually appear on the test too. I have you do them there as well. So let's save and close. Now you're getting to the point you're learning how to deal with the chart of accounts, and you're going to come here and resort the list. These are really kind of tricky sometimes, only because if the lists aren't in the original order or sorted properly, you can't always manipulate them or do what you want with them. So that's the reason why they wanted you to do that. Now again, we're going through and getting and looking at one of the reports for this one. And if we come to reports, now again, you can go, the reports section, you can pick it up here under the reports with the carousel view, or go reports in the drop down menu, and then pick up the accountant and taxes. And we want the account listing, which should be in here. Account listing, there it is. That's my chart of accounts that I'm going to be exporting. And in the future, just take a good look at these, because you can see you have your account number, any tax lines or those types of things that you're doing. But you're going to be exporting a lot of these reports to Excel. So here we are, we're going to do our Excel activity again. And if you need review, make sure you look at the handout that I created for you. But I'm going to go to Create New. Then it's Replace. Make sure you replace an existing. Navigate to the correct file, and this is the Unit 2 reports, so we're good. And then I want to go to my chart of accounts, and this is my Chapter 2 chart of accounts. And let's see, and it is 12/15/2019. That's what we were going to export. Advanced, don't forget that one. I want to make sure that I got on printed report and on screen. Let's go back and look at my handout. Okay, I need to make sure that this is unchecked, and that is checked before I hit OK on this one. So I'm going to come back. And we're looking good. Okay, so I click on OK and do my export. Then I just wait for it to come open. Now this just opened up in Excel so I could see it. It doesn't always do that. Sometimes you have to look on your taskbar to see it, but this opened up immediately. Here I am, a chart of accounts is there. It has my name on it. It looks great. Come back to my reports, put my little check mark in here, save and close. For this activity, you're going to also be setting up users, user accounts, and those are in your company, and up here in the company. Let's see, set up users and passwords. And what it is every company should have different security preferences for different users. I can't stress this enough. The thing about a company is if you let every user in on all your administrative privileges, you're giving too much leeway to somebody, and they're messing with your money. They're working with your money. They need to have something that checks what they're doing, whether it's you or the fact that you giving them some kind of limits on what they can do as a user. Now they're also going to have you set these users up with passwords. I generally suggest that the password that you use at Questa is Questa with a capital C 1234 or 123, only because students consistently forget their passwords and then they're locked out and we have to go through all the process all over again from whatever they've done so far. So make sure that you get something that's real simple that you can use over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here on this one. I think the rest of this chapter is pretty straightforward. And I just want to make sure that you're watching those reports, making sure that everything comes through correctly, and that you're paying close attention to the instructions in the book. You do not need to back things up until the end of the chapter. All that said, have a nice day.